Last time we left off on lesson 2, so let's talk about lesson 3. Hopefully you have your pencil and paper and you are writing lesson 3 on your paper along with me. Remember, our conversation is focusing on types of numbers. They have special names. So I'm going to take you back all the way to the beginning. In your world, in the world of 6th grade, every number is considered a real number. When you get to higher level math, you'll find out that there's these numbers called imaginary numbers. But for 6th grade, you only got to worry about real numbers. So every number that you'll encounter, that you'll see, is a real number. Now, if you act like real number is a parent, they had 2 kids, 2 very separate kids, nothing alike. Their first child is a rational number. So again, hopefully you are writing all this down. And then the second child is a irrational number. So think back to when we talked about rational numbers and irrational numbers. What's special about a rational number that's a irrational number cannot do? There's something a rational number can do that an irrational number cannot do. So I'm going to write that underneath it very small. What can I meaning the rational number, do? Give you a moment to think about it. And then I'll put what can't I, meaning the irrational number, do? And hopefully you're yelling it, screaming it, hollering. A rational number can be written as a fraction. But an irrational number cannot be a fraction. So, for the time being, we're just going to focus on rational numbers. We'll come back to irrational later. But when I looked at your 6th grade curriculum math, let me go back real quick. So if you're writing, hold on. I'm gonna go here. Let me do like a find command real quick. Let me see if it lets me find something. Matter of fact, let me type in some words that I do see and let me see if it works. All right, it doesn't let me do the find command. But if I try to scroll down, I know I can see the word rational number, okay? And fractions, and rational. I'm going slowly because I'm looking to see if they ever talk about irrational numbers in 6th grade. They might say it like in conversation, but will it be on any of your unit information? And I don't see it. Therefore, the focus will just be on rational numbers. But maybe when you get to 7th grade, they'll talk about irrational. So let me go back to the top. And let's go back to our lesson notes. Okay, so if you were writing, continue writing. If you're done, good. So every number that you will experience in 6th grade is a real number. But real numbers can be broken down into 2 different types, a rational number and an irrational number. Our focus, your focus, will be on rational numbers. What is special about a rational number? It can be written like a fraction. So now you're probably wondering, are there different types of rational numbers? Yes, there are. So remember, when you're writing, make sure you're reading. Well, there's these numbers called integers, whole numbers, and then this thing called natural numbers. I know you know what a whole number is because that was your whole elementary experience. Whole numbers. 4, 5, 1,982. Those are all whole numbers. But I bet you don't know that you dealt with some natural numbers too. So let's write down some examples of of all three real quick. Whole numbers, uh, 0, 2, 3, 45. Let me just go crazy, 902, etc. And when I do etc., I'll just put dot, dot, dot. Now let's do some natural numbers just to show you that you actually know some natural numbers. And the best way to explain natural numbers is when you're about to start counting something. Let's say there's a bunch of basketballs and you need to count how many there are. What number do you start with? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'll skip some just to show you 25, 38, 902, etc. So look at whole numbers, look at natural numbers. What's missing in the natural number that the whole number has? And I put it there on purpose. What is missing? The 0. So there's another way of calling natural numbers. We call them the counting numbers. Because when you start counting, you do not start with 0, you start with 1. So I hope you're understanding that whole numbers and natural numbers, they're actually related to each other. Every natural number is a whole number. Make sure when you're writing, you're reading. And of course, if I'm writing too fast, that's what the pause button is for, okay? Every natural number is a whole number, but not every whole number is a natural number. And what's the example? 0. 0 is a whole number. Excuse me. 0 is a whole number. It is not a natural number. Okay. So whole numbers and natural numbers, you dealt with those in elementary school. But let's talk about what is an integer. And yes, this vocabulary word is going to be very important. Integer. Now, before I write it out, I want to prove to you that you're going to deal with some integers in 6th grade. So I'm going to go back to the curriculum math for a moment. If you're writing, just pause for a moment. And let me show you the word integer. Right here. It's in Unit 1. Understand that positive and negative representations of a number are opposite in direction and value. use integers to represent quantities in real-world situations and explain the meaning of zero in each situation. So hopefully you're looking at that statement and you're like, wait a minute, what's an integer? Well, they kind of told you. They are the positive and negative representations of a number. Well, what kind of number? A whole number. So above here, you don't have to write what I'm putting here. Let me just put it, and then I'll go back to the other screen. Okay? And then of course, zero is an integer because it's a whole number. Okay, so now let's go back real quick. Let's write some examples of some integers. So integers are whole numbers, including zero, and their negatives. So -5 is an integer. -4 is an integer, and I'll skip some. -1 is an integer. 0 is an integer. 1, 3, 9. I'm just skipping, but it's really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. All of those are integers. Every whole number is an integer. So let me skip some. 382, 1,451. Those are integers. But if I have 1,451, I can also have -1,451. This thing in front of my number is called a negative. It's a negative sign. And you might be thinking, why don't we write the positive sign? So positive 1,451. Well, you don't need this. It's invisible. Invisible. Because he's invisible, we understand that it's there. So we say 1,451, but we know that's a positive number without putting the plus sign. But in order to tell somebody that something's negative, you absolutely have to put the negative sign. So -1,451. Now, I just made a statement and I'm going to write it down, which means you're going to write it down. And make sure when you're writing, you are doing something you're supposed to be doing. Every whole number is an integer, but not every integer is a whole number. These are well, not that one. Let me erase this. I don't confuse us. These are whole numbers and integers, the ones I have circled. Good. So that also means every natural number is an integer as well. And in sixth grade, you're going to be dealing with integers, which is their way of saying you're going to be dealing with natural numbers, whole numbers, and the negative numbers now. So they're adding negatives into your world. But that's okay, because a natural number, a whole number, an integer, they're all rational numbers, because every one of them can be written like a fraction. Why can a whole number be written like a fraction? Because I can put a fraction bar in what goes underneath it. I hope you said the correct answer, because next week on Monday, that's what we'll be focusing on. All right, so one more thing before we end the video. Remember, if you're writing and I'm moving on, you hit pause. Okay, so get a clean sheet of paper. We're going to rewrite the family tree one more time. This is the family tree of numbers. Every number in this family is a real number. Of course, we know there's imaginary numbers, but those won't come up until later. Real number had two kids, rational and irrational. If you ask me, did irrational have any kids? The answer is no. Irrational is just irrational. That's it. But for sixth grade, we're just going to focus on rational. So then I want to know, how many kids did rational numbers have? They had three. The first was called an integer. If you're trying to draw this and you don't have enough space, maybe turn your paper to the side. So if you have to like get another sheet of paper, turn it to the side to do it, that's okay. If you can fit it, then good. If not, get another sheet, turn it to the side. Whole number, and then the natural number. Underneath it, we'll just write a few examples of each. -3, 0, and 9. 0, 1, and 8. And then, of course, start with 1 for natural numbers and just write a couple of whole numbers to go along with it. Very good. All of these can be written like a fraction because I can put them over 1. You see how I just put my fraction bar and put them over 1? That's why they're all rational numbers. Integers, whole numbers, and natural numbers are not decimal numbers. They are not decimal numbers. They have a 1 in their denominator. All right, so that is the end of lesson 3. It's all about the family tree of numbers. Every number is a real number. Real number is broken into rational and irrational, and then rational is broken into integer, whole number, natural number. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Make sure if your notes are not complete, you go back and you pause the video and you write complete notes. So then next time we can continue with lesson 4. Have a good day.